Hey everybody, here to talk to you and give you an update. I'm in my home office. As you can see, a little bit of a different background, trying to abide by what the governor has asked us to. Want to give everybody a chance to get on, but I'm going to be talking about all kinds of things like where we're at in dealing with this, with the corona, where we're at as far as, are we essential, are we not? Some legal bills that are trying to get passed at the Massachusetts State House, and there's other states that have talked about it. Just the logjam as a whole. I plan to go over everything with you for the next 20 or so minutes and then take questions. I can see that people are tuning in. Those that are tuning in, can you please confirm that you can hear me? I want to make sure of that. I haven't done this at my home yet. Hi, Manida. Hi, Eve. Hello, Beth, Katie, Sarah. Want to say hello to you guys. And want to go through a whole bunch of real estate updates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in because I'm going to do a little bit of review first. So number one, now we're neck deep. If you guys saw some of my videos last week, I said that we were, hey Rich, you can hear me good? I'm glad to hear that, my friend. Last week I had said that we were like waist deep in corona. Now we're neck deep. Our governor came out on Monday here in Massachusetts and issued basically a stay-at-home advisory. I want to point out the difference. Many of you, I know we had many realtors watching, saw my Lamaki Realty updates on the live page on Facebook on Monday, and many of you saw me explain that it's a stay-at-home advisory, but it is an order for businesses that are non-essential to stay closed. So we as a company, as example, closed all our branch offices. We only have like accounting people working to make sure people get paid and monies go where they need to, but even they are doing most of their work from home. So this is an interesting time that we're in, my friends. It's a very interesting time, and it's giving me some flashbacks in some ways of '08. August '08, we dealt with a lot of things changing all of a sudden, banks going under, things like that. But guess what? We pulled through. As a society, we pulled through. The American real estate market pulled through. And we went into '08 having financial trouble to begin with as a market, right? In the real estate business. 9/11 gives me flashbacks of that. I mean, thank God that hasn't happened, but Corona could unfortunately end as many lives, which is absolutely horrible. So want to tell you how I see similarities. When I think of 9/11, I was working in my dad's business, and 3 weeks the phone didn't ring. And when I say it didn't ring, I mean it didn't ring. We didn't get nothing. I talked to a broker owner of a very large, very prestigious, impressive company in New York 2 weeks ago when I was in Vegas, and she said after 9/11 it really didn't pick up till January. And another realtor friend, Jack Attridge, told me the same thing. So we are lucky that this is happening right now. I'm telling you guys, I can't emphasize it enough. If this will fall, buyers and sellers will be like, later, I'm out, okay? Because of that, because we're in the time of year that the market is the most strong, we're getting away with it a little bit, okay? And there's still a lot of demand out there. Take last week, for example. I'm not going to go over the stats as deeply as I did on Monday on the Lamaki Realty page when I'm talking more to consumers. But now I'm talking to my realtor friends. And what I want to tell you is last week, homes listed was only down a little bit. Homes pending, only down a little bit. Homes sold, only down a little bit. This week, that's going to change. That's going to change a lot. Now, we're watching inventory of homes for sale twice a day. And yesterday, I'm going to read you the stats. Well, we checked it a lot yesterday. But yesterday morning, we were at about 11,000, or Monday, 11,500 homes for sale. We're now down to 10,961. Because since the governor did that, people are pulling their homes off the market. I will tell you a secret. Yeah, a real secret on here, huh? I think our friends at MLS are going to come out with something that waives that requirement that you have to take a home off the market if you can't show it. We're in a state of emergency. The governor has asked people to stay home. And guess what, guys? As realtors, we should abide. Okay, we should abide. A week and a half ago was a little different. Now they've asked us not to. And I know, and this rolls me right into my next topic about fighting. I mean, guys, when I see realtors arguing on Facebook, it makes me want to scream. Okay, I hear realtors saying, oh, I hate how we're looked down upon. Some people think we're used car salesmen. Well, I got news for you. If you're on Facebook torching each other because a realtor's out doing a final walkthrough, or a realtor is out meeting with a client that absolutely has to sell or absolutely has to buy, and you're on Facebook saying, I don't show homes now, I don't do it. Okay, you want a medal? We'll send you a medal in the mail, okay? You have your reasons for doing what you're doing. They have their reasons to do what they're doing, okay? There might be a reason. There might be a buyer. There might be a seller. There might be someone in financial stress that needs to sell, needs to buy. Don't forget people's circumstances, but if we can help it, I think we should. My recommendation for realtors here in Massachusetts is, let's be professional. Let's be good citizens. Let's generally listen to what our governor is telling us. He has made it very clear they would like people to stay home. And even though the Republicans and Democrats are arguing like fools on Capitol Hill for the last 4 days, the one thing they seem to agree on is we need to stay in and we need to be careful. Well, if they're saying that, then that shows that this is pretty serious. I know in the last 2 days there's been more talk about, well, we're not going to have people in forever. We got to let our society get back. Hey, Ligris, sorry I don't have hair like you, buddy, all right? We got to let society get back to, being busy and things like that. We're not a society meant to stay indoors. Well, I agree, but obviously we need to do it for at least another week, and in Massachusetts, likely a little bit longer. So my stance on this is we should generally comply wherever possible. Put off showings, put off listing homes if you can. I talked about this on NBC last night, NBC 10 I was on. I actually haven't even seen the segment other than a video an agent sent, but I did see that I got some of that talk in there. If we can help it, I think that we should. I'm looking at my talking points here. You know what? Let me move them over to this screen so I can stop getting distracted by comments. So, realtors, again, let's not fight. Let's be professionals. Let's support one another. Let's remember that, people have reasons. Everybody has different wants and needs. Now, this argument about are we essential or not, I heard from so many realtor friends. I'll tell you, after the governor made that announcement on Monday, I heard from more realtor friends in 4 hours than I did the previous 2 days. And it was, well, are we essential? Aren't we essential? Well, if you read the bill, and I talked about this on the Lamacchia Realty page on Monday, if you read the bill and you read the essential list, I don't take it as we're allowed, okay? And the Mass Association of Realtors put a great video out last night, and they talked, I'm sorry, not video, an email out last night, and they talked about how, yes, let me read the wording. However, realtors may continue to conduct business remotely within the guidelines of public health and safety. Well, that's good advice, guys. I mean, we got to follow the rules here. The state has developed new guidelines. They've created an essential list. Folks that are in accounting, folks that are involved in a financial transaction. My interpretation is if someone's closing today at 3, buyer's adamant they want to do a walkthrough, make sure the house is in good shape. My vote is, okay, as long as everybody, buyer, seller, realtors, feel safe in having them do that, fine. That would be, in my eyes, something that probably should be okay. I had another realtor ask, well, I have a vacant listing and there's a buyer that wants to see it. And I was like, okay, well, if the buyer feels safe, the seller feels safe. But generally speaking, my recommendation is that we abide by what the governor asked, which is not to be showing homes if we can avoid it, not to be definitely not doing open houses. I mean, those things are out the window. I still feel, honestly, when we get back to things, I do still personally feel strong that block showings in controlling the traffic is better than random private showings at all different times of the day. I'm not backing down from that. That's my opinion. I know that sellers come home from when there's a whole afternoon of showings, even if they're every 15 minutes, a seller comes home from that and thoroughly cleans their home. When a seller has random showings at all times a day, they don't come home and every time and clean the home as extensively. So I wanted to mention that to you guys. That's my interpretation of essential or not. Look for that MAR email. It was great. They put the governor's press release in it. They put in the executive order. They put in the list of essential businesses. I know that the Mass Association of Realtors right now is also fighting to have us be deemed essential. My opinion, that's a little bit of an uphill battle, but I'm hoping that they at least make parts of the business essential so that people can move on. I will tell you this, if this thing goes longer than 2 weeks, they're going to have to, because you cannot completely stop people from being able to buy and sell homes. I mean, it'll destroy some people's lives. So that we have going for us as realtors. But it'll be interesting to see if the governor does add us to that list. Interesting to note, Connecticut does say that the business of real estate and property management is essential. Now, sorry, I'm taking drinks while I'm talking to you. Just getting all fired up. Let me think about this. Another thing that I want to talk to you guys about that's a bit controversial, and I have talked to some lawyer friends, many who are for it, and I've talked to a couple of good friends that I respect who are against it. There is a bill right now that is, I've heard on the governor's desk, I mean, I don't know about his desk, but that's the term they used, that basically says that he should, during the state of emergency, he should allow for virtual closings. Now, don't get mixed up. That doesn't mean e-filing closings. That's already allowed. That's all set. What they're talking about is allowing virtual notaries. Okay, I think this should be approved. The bill says, in its current form, says that attorneys would be able to watch, just like this, watch someone sign their deed, their whatever. The attorney would handle that, notarize it. The buyer or seller has to get that document to the attorney. The attorney gets back on the Zoom or GoToWeb or whatever, virtually, with the buyer and says, did you sign this? Yes, I did. Okay. Then the attorney is free to file it at the State House. Now, Real Estate Bar Association is now for this bill. The probate council or whatever of attorneys, they're for this bill. I am speaking in favor of this bill, and I know I've got attorney friends watching right now. I can think of two that disagree. I think the folks that are sole practitioners that aren't as connected to how this is being done are a little more fearful of the potential that their whole business turns into this. I'm with you in the respect that I don't think it should. I absolutely do not think that virtual notaries should be allowed long term. There's more room there for fraud. But under the current set of circumstances with this state of emergency, I do believe that they should be allowed. And I think that all attorneys should get on board with that, and I recommend that all realtors get on board with that. Guys, if this 2 weeks turns into 3, 4, 5, it's a problem. Not to mention, do we really want our attorney friends, do we really want our buyer and seller clients going to closings right now if it's not necessary? I mean, I heard of attorneys going in with hazmat masks. I'm not joking. Gloves, buyers and sellers walking in with their hands like this, like they're doing surgery, passing things across the table with gloves on. I mean, if we can avoid that, right? If we can avoid that and have them just do it virtually until the state of emergency is over, to me, that makes sense. So I'm speaking in favor of it, and those who disagree, you're entitled to disagreeing. But that's my opinion. Another thing I want to mention, and then I am going to take questions, my friends. So if you want to start submitting questions, go ahead and start putting comments. Brian Miranda in Albany, New York. Brian's a personal friend. MLS is going to start adjusting days on market to account for the shutdown. So far, our MLS has decided against that, and I agree, but I am really happy that they are likely, hint, hint, going to be, and again, this isn't final, this isn't, but I think they're going to relax the rule about temporarily withdrawing. We don't want to see our inventory go in the toilet unnecessarily. Sellers should be able to leave their product on the shelf for 2 weeks while buyers are cooped up so that buyers can look at the homes. Another thing I want to talk about, we're going to put it in the comments, and I asked some of my marketing folks who are watching, please do it. We put out an extensive blog on Monday or Sunday called Coronavirus in the Real Estate Logjam. This blog talks about all the delays that we expect, why we expect the delays, and how buyers and sellers can avoid them. Now, I know I have several friends from other companies watching right now, several other realtors watching right now. My recommendation to you is use the blog. It's third-party information. If you're not a part of our company, it will maybe even carry more weight and get the seller or buyer to do what you're telling them. We all know the buyers and sellers, some of them, you tell them till they're blue in the face, we recommend these 3 attorneys, and then they go hire another one. They hire someone who's not a real estate attorney. Or we recommend these 2 mortgage brokers, and they go hire someone else. This is more important time than ever to make sure that your clients are working with the vendors that you approve, that you know are good. I mean, this is more important than ever. I can't even stay sitting. I'm just too hyper to do that. We just had an all-company meeting live in our group, and I said, guys, I've been telling you in training for 3 years, La La Land
let me take it back. It's been La La Land for 3 years. Everything you list sells. Oh my God, you're a hero. You're the greatest realtor in the world. Well, guess what, guys? That's over. That's over. La La Land is done. Game over. Now it's time to sharpen skills, be the best realtor you can be. Make sure you have your scripts down. Make sure you can explain things properly to sellers. Make sure you can guide them properly. Also, recommendation. Now I'm going in all different directions. Do not be selling people in the next couple of weeks at least. This is a time for compassion. It's a time for being there for your clients. Do not try to talk someone into buying a home. If someone's losing their job, don't be trying to talk them into staying in a deal, and then they could lose their deposit, and it's crazy. We need to be there for the clients right now. Same thing with sellers. A seller is in no worse position if they wait 2 or 3 weeks to list their home. They're not. Normally, I would never say that in a normal spring. We all know, us realtors know, the earlier in the year sellers list, the better off they are because inventory is lower. That's better for sellers, okay? But now, over the last week, we saw about a 25-30% reduction in buyer demand. This next week, because they did this on a government level here in Massachusetts, we're going to see that go down more. So that group of buyers, they're going to come roaring back. Not all of them. There's going to be some layoffs. I will tell you, even though the stimulus bill is out and everybody's happy, there was that much help in it for small business. They're not going to help small businesses, so I think that we are going to see layoffs and unemployment go higher than we could have if they stuck with the original bill that was talked about over the weekend. But it is what it is. We have to deal with it. I still feel very strongly that when we can get back to somewhat of a normal life, consumers will be back out there. It will be busy again. Will it be the spring it could have been? No, absolutely not. It will not. 40 offers on your listing is now going to be 18. Okay? 10 offers on your listing is now going to be maybe 3. 3 offers on a listing might be no multiple offers now. Do you follow what I'm saying? Less demand is going to be noticeable. Let me check my list and make sure I didn't forget anything. So that blog that we put out, we're going to post it in the comments. You guys can take it and use it all you want, or at least read it. It'll really help you. Why don't I switch to questions? I have other thoughts to share, but let me jump into questions for a little while. Okay, here's Rich Vetstein. Agent friends, your attorneys have gotten an electronic notarization bill up at the State House so we can close virtually. Please email your state reps in support of the act relative to remote notarization during COVID-19 state of emergency. So Rich is backing up exactly what I just talked about. Okay, this is during state of emergency. So Rich at his office and Nick Ligris and Costa Ligris at Ligris and Associates and all these other law firms, they are not proposing for this to be done all the time. They are proposing for it to be done during the state of emergency, and I'm telling you, we should do this and we should get it done as soon as possible. What happens if we go into a shelter-in-place order that you can't leave your house? Okay? Imagine that. Then nothing will close. We need to get in front of this, and getting in front of it actually would have been getting it done a week ago, but you guys need to pressure lawmakers. My recommendation is we get that passed. Got a lot of good friends on here from all over the country, I can see. Yeah, Ross Wilson, great mortgage broker on Champanosian's team. He says, I closed on my right refinance this AM. I wore my mask and gloves, as did the attorney. Would be nice to have a virtual notary. Well, I should have just read that out loud in the beginning. Thank you, Lindsay, for posting the blog. Okay, Norris Lindsay asking a question. Norris, I think you're out in Michigan, my friend. I hope you're well. So he's asking about a buyer pre-approval expiring. When should he get it updated? Well, I would always get a buyer pre-approval updated as soon as possible, but you are going to see buyers bail out of buying. Hopefully, most of them will be temporary, but these layoffs are going to make it longer. Let's see, Nicole Vitello. Great realtor out in the Worcester market. Are you concerned that deals under contract currently will be falling through because banks will decide to stop lending, especially because a lot of people are losing jobs? Okay, so that's a two-part question. Am I concerned that a lot of deals will fall apart? Yes, I absolutely am. And we're seeing it, but we're not seeing a ton. I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I will. We're seeing about an 8% fall off at our company in the last 2 weeks. We're tracking it very closely. 8% is not that bad. 08 was like 60%. So that's part one of your question. Part two, do I think banks will stop lending? Absolutely, positively not. We are not in danger of that. In addition, I will tell you the reason I feel so strongly about that. Notice how the banks are acting, okay? Like I said, I see signs of how it was in '08, but it's not the same. The government, fortunately, knows the playbooks. Now, for those of you that are geeks like me that have read Henry Paulson's book, Nick Geithner's book, George W. Bush's book, Ben Bernanke's, I read all about the financial crisis last time, and one of the biggest things that Geithner pointed out is he said, it took us too damn long to get banks to do things. Guys, this go around, banks are already doing things. The government's already doing things. Okay, so even though I'm not thrilled with the stimulus bill, because I think it incentivizes business owners to just lay people off, they've done a lot in the mortgage arena already. They've bought a ton of mortgage-backed securities. They're definitely hitting the accelerator hard. So that's good. So Nicole Vitello, I hope that answers your question. Definitely be aware of deals falling through, but I don't think it'll be because banks pull out. But I will tell you something. Jumbos. The jumbos are tough right now. Rates on those have gone up. Banks are getting a little nervous on jumbos, so be careful for those of you in the higher end. All right, Cheryl. What if you have a deal that will need, I know Cheryl. Cheryl's up in the Chelmsford market. Great realtor. What if you have a deal that will need a license to sell to close in progress? The courts are closed. Any word on what may be happening? Okay, as of right now, Cheryl, I believe the courts are closed till April 21st. Let's all hope that they open back up then. I don't think that we can do anything in those type of scenarios at this time. I imagine the Bar Association is working like crazy, just like, our Mass Association of Realtors, they're working 20 hours a day right now. National Association of Realtors, I don't even think they're sleeping. I was trading emails and on the phone with folks in D.C. at NAR at 5:30 this morning, dissecting this bill to see what came out of it. But that's a problem. And Cheryl, here's my advice to you. Extensions. I mentioned this last week. Extensions are your friends. Remember when I talked to you guys about '08 and I said how, sorry, I'm trying to remember to look at the camera. I said how buyers agents and listing agents, they just started coming together. Hey, what do you need? Your buyer need more time? All right, get more time. Now, obviously, you're not going to get taken advantage of. If you're a listing agent and the people keep asking for extensions endlessly, at some point you got to say, hey, see you later and get a new client, but a new buyer. But right now is a time to just buy time. Get people to stay together a couple of weeks. The buyer can figure out their job. You can look into a probate issue. How can you solve that? The problem that I see, Cheryl, is when the damn courts open back up, they're going to be backed up as could be. So let's hope they open up sooner. Joanna Shalansky, another great realtor, Burlington Market. She says she agrees with me. I don't know on what, but you're awesome, Joanna. Rich Rossi. Yeah, see, Rich, I knew you'd agree with me. You have the same attitude I do. This is not a time to be selling, realtor friends. And I'll give more advice. I gave this advice in our company group 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, but I don't mind saying it publicly. Guys, us realtors, we love talking on Facebook. Offer accepted. Yay. I would take that down a notch right now. People are not feeling good. People are worried about their jobs. I don't know if I would be bragging. I'll tell you, I know I wouldn't be bragging right now, so I would be careful. Rich, no problem. You deserve the shout-out. Thank you, Caroline. That's sweet. So Christine Serafini from Albany, she just brought up a good point. She said, be sure your buyers have their rates locked in and are entitled to having conversations of, okay, so she got a little deeper. But bottom line, rates have done, literally, this is rates. Okay, here we go. Beginning of coronavirus. A week later, back up. Down, up, down. Right now we're at 3.3. So if you can get your buyer locked, tell them to lock. Tell them, remember what I said 15 minutes ago. This is the time to tell your buyers and your sellers, they've got to work with the people that you recommend, because you know the people you recommend are good. Now, I got to be careful. I'm on a public forum here. Hopefully one of my kids doesn't come upstairs. I'm on a public forum here. Obviously, you need to recommend a few people and blah, 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 but, you really want to explain to your clients why it's necessary that they work with people who they should be working with for mortgages, for attorneys, title companies, those things for other states. I know we do business New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut. There's title companies, New York. So you definitely want to make sure to be really explaining to them the why on why they should be working with people that you recommend. And look at that blog that Lindsay Favazza posted. Okay, Anthony. All right, so Stephen Andrew asked, what would you recommend for agents that are new in the field to be doing at this time? I'll tell you the same thing I'll tell experienced agents, Stephen. Be in touch with people. Check in with people. But it's not, hey, you ready to buy? I mean, let me tell you guys a story. We got a company we're talking to about doing some business. This guy reached out to me a week ago. I ended up having to cancel the call. I texted him yesterday. I said, I can talk in 10 minutes. I called him in 10 minutes. I left a message. I said, hey, look, right now I got too many things to worry about with my own company to be worrying about bringing some new product in for our agents, okay? And I said, let's talk in 3 weeks. The guy called me back. He texted me back. Literally, I'd like to read his damn text. Hey, we've got some really good deals. I'm like, dude, are you for real? Like, I'm worried about, I have 47 employees, we have 300 agents, we have training customers across the country. I am not concerned about some fancy new shiny object right now. So remember that as new agents. You know, don't be out selling. This is the time to check in with people. Make sure they're doing okay. What about checking in with fellow agents? That's what I plan to do tomorrow on Thursday. Some of you on here might hear from me. How you doing? What's going on? How you making out being home? Do you have questions? Can I help you? Well, you know what I mean? Be there for them. But also as a new agent, I do want to tell you, we will get through this, okay? And I know I mentioned this many times. We will get through this. This is not the end of society. I mean, I've heard some people, I've had realtor friends, some that are smart, very successful, make a lot of money. Is this it? And I'm like, is what it? I mean, come on. We're going to get through this, guys. This is America. I'll bet on America. Every single time I'll bet on America, we'll get through it. Are we going to hit bumps? Are we going to have a recession? There's no question. But hopefully the recession will be like this, and we'll come out of it. And I'll tell you something else. The good realtors do better in the bad markets. I'm sorry, but they do. The people that have the skills, the people that know how to talk to people, that know how to guide them, they do better. So for those of you that don't want to work hard and aren't, like really motivated to learn things and learn how to adjust to this market, then maybe you are the ones that should say, well, maybe give up. But if you're going to work hard and you're dedicated to your clients, you'll get through this. There's no question about it. And also, well, this is what I meant to say, and then I went down this other road. Over the last few years, since we've had a la-la land market, sellers especially view us as a dime a dozen. Well, I don't care. If I hire that realtor or that one, doesn't matter. My house is going to sell right away. They don't realize that the more marketing you do, the more money they get, and hiring one realtor over the other does make a difference. They don't. They look at us like a dime a dozen. Well, those days are over. Now they won't, because now the market will be a little bit slower. I still think there's so much demand that we're going to have a reasonably strong market if they can turn things back on, but there's no doubt it'll be at a lower level than it was. Let's see here. That's good to hear, Joanna. Okay, good question. Christine Sargent, it is my understanding that both CO and smoke inspections can be waived until 90 days after closing, providing buyers agree. Can you tell me if this rule applies to home inspections as well? Okay, Christine, two totally different subjects. So let's start with the fire inspections. Here's my recommendations for this. I talked to our company about this an hour ago. They are allowing buyers and sellers to sign an agreement to have buyers take on the responsibility of getting the smoke detectors right and getting a smoke inspection 90 days after closing or 90 days after the state of emergency, whichever comes first. But I have a recommendation. Now remember, if you have a deal under agreement, let me say this first. If you have a deal under agreement and your seller's like, or the buyer's like, what do you mean? That wasn't my responsibility. It's not. I'm not going to now pay for 10 detectors and get an inspection when it was the seller. Have the seller do it, or have the seller reimburse me. Well, you'll have to renegotiate. You'll have to go to the seller, explain. Hopefully the listing agent knows that that's the case. They're going to have to talk to their seller. They're going to have to get the information and on how many detectors, roughly what's it going to cost, give up a certain amount of money. Maybe it's $300, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000 for massive homes, and then credit that to the buyer in many cases. But I have a recommendation. We thought about this more in the last few days, and a realtor friend of mine out in Worcester who does an awesome job doing smoke detectors, and he handles a ton of smoke detectors for many realtors out there. His name's Francisco Diaz. He called me, I think it was Monday morning, and he says, hey, remember, sellers should be selling a safe home. It's better to recommend that sellers put the detectors in, and that way when they pass the home on to the buyer's buying it with good smoke detectors. Speaking of smoke detectors, see mine up there? So I recommend telling sellers to still get the home in order and then sell it and then let the buyer get the certificate later. But I will tell you the good news is the city of Boston, as of yesterday, came out and said they're doing smoke inspections. So I think that they probably got worried about not being able to keep up in a week or 2 or 3 when we get back at it. So I'm hoping Worcester follows suit. We'll see. As far as home inspections go, I have heard 2 different things. I've heard some companies say the home inspection is essential. I've heard some say it isn't. I'm not going to get into that argument. You know, I speak for realtors. I don't speak for home inspectors. But I'll say this. Same thing I said earlier. I think that us realtors should generally try to abide by what the governor is recommending. We shouldn't show properties. We obviously shouldn't do open houses. But if there's a one-off scenario that it is related to the transaction, needing to get a final walkthrough done so that the deal can close, needing to do something to get the deal to close, well, maybe that's an exception that you could consider, but you ought to talk to your own broker or owners about that and see what direction your company is giving you. Hopefully companies are giving people direction. Kim McKean, awesome realtor out in the Clinton market. Kim said to reach out to listing agents on deals that there were multiple offers, and if your buyer is still interested. That's smart, Kim, because for all we know, for all you know, they might have had multiple offers. Your buyer might have lost. Well, their buyer might be out. If your buyer is still in, reach back out to them. That's smart. Yeah, Sarah Gustafson, Sarah's a personal friend of mine. She's 100% right. You know, thank you for mentioning no bragging. We are essential to keep things moving, but right now we need to be cognizant of what others are going through. Yeah, and here's the truth, Sarah. When we say others, there's realtors that are going to be financially hurting. This is a widespread, at least a widespread punch in the jaw to everybody financially. Everybody's going to feel this at least a little bit. I don't care how much money you have. There's going to be some financial hit to everybody in the next few months. Kristen, if the screen froze, just wait. It'll reconnect. Some friends in, okay, Patty, thanks for the support from New Jersey. Let's see here. Brenda, I think a great way to give back to our buyers and sellers with regard to agents trying to prospect with all the worries for them is let them know that banks are giving auto loans and home loans 2 to 3 month reprieves. Good point, Brenda. I think Brenda's out in the Springfield market. Very good point. So I have talked to several people who are being proactive and calling their mortgage companies and saying, hey, I'm worried I'm not going to get paid, blah, blah, blah. Okay, pay in July. No hit on your credit. I've heard the same thing from autos. I also heard it from some construction lenders that lend construction equipment. So definitely make sure that you are in touch with clients. I mean, guys, this is a time to be there for your clients, okay? For people just tuning in. You need to be there for your clients. You need to be recommending to your clients to be proactive, okay? For those of you that know me, you know, that have known me a long time, you know, from 2009 to 2012, there's very few people in the entire country, very few companies in the entire country that conducted more short sales. Certainly none in New England. And I'll tell you something. Part of the reason we grew so much in the last 5-8 years is those clients all came back to us to buy new homes. They loved us. You help someone avoid foreclosure, they love you for life, okay? And if the market gets real bad, we'll be doing them again. I probably won't go on television and scream about them like I did last time, but we will have a division that handles that to take care of our clients. So give clients direction on that. Of course, my phone's ringing off the hook now. Let's see here. Wow, lots more questions. Okay. Francisco, I just talked about you, buddy. Dan Mahoney, we'll get through this. People look to us and need comfort. 100% right, my friend. Well, Norris, if a buyer refuses to get an updated pre-approval letter, that means the buyer is scared and not able to buy. I would back off. You don't want to be pushing a buyer to do anything right now. We got to have their backs. I'm trying to read questions, guys. Definitely want to reiterate around Nicole Vitello's question that I don't see lenders, and you know, to give you guys some history, when the market went bad in 08, everything froze, and banks were scared to lend. If it wasn't for the National Association of Realtors climbing down the throats of the folks at HUD and really pushing FHA loans, our market would have gotten so much worse. So I don't see that happening now. They're in front of this thing, and even if it gets worse, they're going to make sure we get through it. Any other questions, my friends? I see there's several of you still on. I think that's about all I want to cover. I'll be back to you guys maybe Friday, but I plan to do these Q&As every Wednesday at 11 a.m. until this thing's over. If that's 2 weeks, if it's 3 weeks, if it's 4 weeks, you guys can always count on the Q&As being every Wednesday at 11. And I want to mention, make sure to tell me when you have questions. Try to tell me in advance. Oh, here we go. Kim McKean. Do you think we can get fined by the state for showing homes when both seller and buyer are okay with it? I mean, I'm not the governor. I'm not the head of the state police. My thinking is no, but don't go by me. Check with your own brokers on if you want to be doing that. All right, let's see. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day. Remember what I said. This is America. We'll get through it. It will end. We're not going to be in this situation forever, okay? We'll be out selling homes again before you know it, but it'll be a little different, a little less la-la land, and we got to sharpen our skills, my friend. Have a great day. Appreciate you all.